Well, it looks like Palladium closed over 900, 902 to be exact. So that's a milestone. It hasn't been that high in many, many, many years, actually since 2001. So will it go over 1,000? Probably. But it may not be a very erratic trip over its long-term life when it's going to, I think it's going to reach over the price of gold. But why did Palladium go? I just want to bring this out in the beginning here, because why did Palladium go over 900 or hit 902 today? Close at 902. Actually, it's because of statements by Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin stated that not to mess with Russia. Warned Russia, the West, not to mess with Russia. So, you know what that means, man. It's almost like, well, since Russia produces 43% of the palladium in the world, and most of it comes from one mine in Russia, in Norilsk mine in northern Siberia, where 39% of the world's palladium comes from. Any tensions with Russia can send palladium up a lot higher. But palladium also, I just want to repeat this stuff, because palladium actually is even more rare than gold, and more rare than platinum, which platinum is many more times more rare than gold. Some keep saying it's about 20, 30 times more rare than gold. I don't know if it's that much more rare than gold, but it is way more rare than gold, and over 95% of it is used up every year. That's the other caveat. More percentage of palladium is actually used up every year than even silver, and that's including with the recycling. The recycling's coming on stronger and stronger, but it's still way over 90% is used up forever, every year. So, well, anyway, I don't want to get too much on that subject, but I just want to talk about ISIS and gold and silver. Now, there could be a few things that come up here right away really fast, like a sequence of events that could just change the whole outlook from, like the doldrums for the metals for the last few years and depressing and all that type of stuff. It could change overnight. And this is actually within the scenario that's pretty much all happened all throughout history. I've been saying all along that the Middle East is the key, really, the big key for bringing up the metals prices, oil, and gold and silver, right? Now, this thing, you see, the one thing I'm looking at from this angle, there's a lot of alleged things out there, accusations, whatever it is, that ISIS actually was fomented by the West, the intelligence powers. And it may be from other things I've read, but if you also look at in the past, who the heck was actually behind the Muslim Brotherhood? Actually, the West. So what are they trying to do? Foment hate and discontent, get the Muslims to fight each other without actually the West getting too much involved. So that might be the whole logic behind ISIS. Now, the other thing is, I saw something recently, and I think it's more credible because I saw it from the alternative media, but also saw it from other sources. And I didn't really dig into all this stuff because somebody can explain away detail and prove something, and it could be totally inaccurate. But it may be that the Foley beheading, the journalist that was beheaded, that may have been a staged event. He may have been killed somewhere else. They said that he was reading this statement too calm to be somebody that was going to be beheaded, and when they showed the knife, didn't see any blood going across there and stuff. So in the film, I didn't actually watch the film, but it could be a staged event, more or less, because it would make it where I think ISIS probably is being backed by the West indirectly somehow, and the staged event would also cause the public opinion in the United States and the West, to get involved back in Iraq and fight the Muslims and all that. So that might be the policy that they're trying to push. But if that's let me say this, I'm not trying to get on that angle too much, but say if they are trying to push a policy with, using nefarious means, whatever, to get the U.S. back involved in Iraq and in the Middle East, well, if that's their goal, then we can pretty much be assured that oil's going way up, and gold, and silver. Because there's three scenarios whereby the markets can take. See, I think it's a given that the equities are coming down. I mean, they're too high. I don't know when. I think the middle of the financial crisis may be September 2015, but that doesn't mean the equities can't hit get a major hit here pretty soon, and maybe the bottom, the big financial crisis, is September 2015. But that doesn't mean they can't take a major hit even really soon and have a downward slide over the next so many months. I don't know. But they are way up there where they shouldn't be for too long, and it's not like having a non-positive attitude or anything like that. It's just that, it's just the cycle of economics. The equities have been getting pricey with the PE ratios, and the economic recovery is not doing that well, and they're backing off on the QE. Common sense, right? Well, there's a couple things coming up. First off, we got the new fiscal budget coming up for the the USA, right? Well, if they start squabbling over that and they delay it and they try to close the government down and all this garbage again, well, I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but I just can't see it just going that smooth. Let me put it to you that way. I don't know if they're going to close the government down or whatever, but I just can't see it going that smooth because they just barely ironed things out the last couple of years. Every year it seems to get tougher and tougher to come up with a new budget and get things ironed out, and they all tend to wait till the last minute. So if they squabble too much, one of the rating agencies can change the outlook for the U.S. debt, which can affect the dollar and affect the markets, and that could be the catalyst that brings things down. If the outlook of the dollar is affected because of budget problems or something like that, that would bring down the markets and oil, and it would make gold go up. One scenario. If the markets just come down because they've been up too long and are too pricey, and people start pulling out of them for that reason because they realize the long-term prospects of being in the market is not good, and you start having an avalanche of people just pulling out of the markets for that reason. And I know Grantham Management says this, that they're not good. I mean, the best in the business in the major media is telling you it doesn't look good for the next 10 years. It's been good for the last several years, but they went up a few times, so I mean, what do you expect? You think it's going to keep going up 3 times every 3 years or something? No. So there might be a lot of people just figuring that out, and they start pulling out, and then the markets come down for that reason. If that's the case, then the markets come down, oil comes down, and gold, silver, and oil. Scenario number 2. If there's more tensions in the Middle East, and say something really dramatic happens with ISIS, it looks like it's Western policy to back ISIS in a Muslim Brotherhood, one way or the other, even though they're saying it's not. And there's a bunch of refineries set on fire, and there's interruption of oil supplies, and that may be part of the plan where, it looks like the oil production is really set to go here in the USA. We're practically the #1 producer of oil in the world. We're one of the top producers of oil in the world, and we have political stability. Well, if there's a major problems in the Middle East and oil refineries start blowing up left and right or something due to civil war and things, well, in that case, oil's going to go right through the roof, and it'll also send gold way up through the roof, and also that silver will follow, and the markets will go down. Scenario number 3. Actually, all 3 scenarios seem likely. That's the key. And but the one that can take the longest to happen is the scenario where people just start pulling out of the markets, because the smart people are pulling out of the markets. The smart people have hedged to go short, like George Soros and things. But the average person is being told that the markets are going to be going up for the next 5 years by certain people in the major media. Although there's other areas in the major media that are actually telling you the truth, that they're getting pricey, and they have been warning. So the actual 2 scenarios that look the most likely is lots of budget fights coming up in September, October, and something happening with ISIS. And if we have something happening with ISIS, it's probably going to happen fairly soon, because if they want a policy change where the U.S. is going to get involved in the Middle East really fast, if that's their goal, and that's what I've been reading in other areas, well, it has to happen before December because of the weather. The weather situation, it's not good for military maneuvers in the wintertime over there, supposedly. So, I don't know. It looks like something could happen very quickly, because there's a lot of things happening at once. And again, you saw what's going on with Palladium because of Russian tensions. Vladimir Putin is warning about, don't mess with Russia because we're still a premier nuclear power, and we don't want you guys messing with us with any kind of stuff. They're pissed off about the sanctions and stuff. Actually, all that alone should be good for gold. Now, I always have a link about on the bottom of the video in the information box about oil prices being rigged, and this has been accusations that have come from the former head of NYMEX, and not just I'm not talking about alternative media bloggers. I'm talking about the best in the business. This has been ongoing lawsuits about the oil markets being rigged for the last 10 years. But it's not just limited to the oil markets. It's limited to it's with everything. And in that video I have on the bottom of the information box about the oil markets being rigged, I go into a lot about what happened during the Gulf oil spill and the major players that just got these windfall profits from making uncanny predictions and making bets just right. So that's really why the metals are down, because it's rigged. Okay? But the thing is, they can rig it up too. The problem is when they start rigging it up where it's starting to go way ahead of itself, the alternative media is going to keep telling you to buy because the sky's falling and the dollar's going to go to a total oblivion and buy gold and silver at any price. And the ones that are going to get ripped off are the middle class. And unfortunately, people are going to be saying that. We're going to be getting hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube. And me, people telling you the truth, I'm going to be getting a small amount of views. But for it to actually get out there as the truth, I would be actually killing my prediction, because if a number of people found out what the real truth was, it wouldn't happen. But as such, that's not going to happen. The gullible are going to go right off the cliff. They're not buying. They're people are missing the boat on this investment for the last couple of years. Yeah, it didn't do nothing, but when it happens, it's going to move fast. That's just the way these commodities are. They're not like, they're not considered like safe ho-hum investments where they go up a little bit and they get a little interest and they go up a little bit. No, they go like this and they go, and then when they go like this, that's where they get all the suckers to buy, and people are going to be arguing with me left and right. What are you doing to take fiat? I say, yeah, well, because that's what you take at the time of point of sale, but I'll probably buy something else with it. That's solid, So anyway, looks like a lot of stuff's coming together here, because that Putin deal where he warned the West, don't mess with us, that sent Palladium up over 900. Now, I was, how many videos, out of all the people on YouTube, how many people put videos out like crazy on Palladium? Me. Who was putting them out first? Me. Right? But they're not getting attention, right? Some people could have made a lot of money off this stuff because I was telling people to do it. I actually bought a lot of Palladium below 200. I don't know. So anyway, it seems to be that drama sells and truth does not. So I don't like doing these videos too much because it's not worth my time. I could actually go out and get clients and charge them $150 an hour. I could do that. But I'm kind of disgusted with that kind of garbage, so I do this for fun. But, anyway, I'm not going to bitch about it or nothing like that, but I'm giving you a straight up scoop. That the price of the metals, I think, are manipulated down. The price of oil is manipulated down. They're going to be manipulated up. And the drama freaks, and these guys, I almost look at them like they should be, they're scammers. They're pump and dump artists. The top people in the silver world sold back in 2011. I don't even want to keep mentioning their names. I'm getting sick of it. And they were telling you, oh yeah, it's going in the skies, up, it's going up, it's going up. And the best in the business, they sold. The ones that are leading people off the cliff, they sold. They sold this stuff. And they're going to do it again. So, and I don't want to argue with people about this shit because it's like it's tainting my vision and my, way I'm thinking of things, and they're tainting me by telling me, you know, oh, yeah, look at the debt. And I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. No matter how high the debt is, they'll have a way to fix it, because this is not Zimbabwe over here. This is not the Soviet Union. You know, the Russian ruble went to oblivion many times over, practically, almost oblivion. Sometimes it went to 1 to 10,000 rubles for, you know, 10,000 rubles to 1 ruble, 10 rubles to 1 ruble, sometimes 100 rubles to 1 ruble. Over the last 100-some years, that's what happened. The U.S. is not going to experience something like that. Not to that extent. So, I mean, if silver goes up to some ungodly amount of money, I am definitely not going to be afraid to sell it. That's me, and I know I'm going to get a lot of arguments from people about that, but what can I say, man? What can I say? You know, I guess if people didn't believe it was going to go way the hell up, if you'll say it went to 100, that's when everybody's going to be convinced it's going to go to 1,000. That's just how it works. You know, if you told somebody today it's going to go to $1,000, they say, yeah, you're high. But if silver, I'm going to say even 100, say it went over 50 or something, it broke a new record, and people would believe any number you threw at them then. And that's when it's getting too pricey. So, it's just how it is, man. Human nature, psychology. I ain't playing the psychology game. I'm giving you the truth. Over now.